Okay, welcome back to 2021 edition of Her Passion Builds, sponsored by Highest Power Brands, H Squared Marketing Consultants, and I am Heather Hellman, founder and host of Her Passion Builds, the podcast. I'm joined today with a few of our affiliates that we are proud and honored to have sponsor our podcast and show. Marquita Chanel Chapman, Lavinia Collection is her no? Yes? All right. Lavina, Lord have mercy. She's going to give me every time I say it. Lavina Collection. We've got Karana K. Wilson, and I have Janice Belay with BMB Legacy. So today, ladies, thank you so much for reuniting the group first and foremost. I know you all are terrified. Yeah, I know you're terrified when I reach out and say, let's do a recording.
Yes.
Well, I promise today is going to be a fun yet a hard topic. And the reason why I wanted to approach it is I think for so much of our own individual followings, we each have a great following. We have people that are starting to engage with us, and our careers have changed and shifted so much since the last time I met with all of you. And 2020, I think we all can agree, was one interesting year. Either you used it, you lost it, or you just got lost somewhere in between. And I really want to debunk some of those feelings that have happened for all of us. You know, the very first thing that I touched on is that each of us come from a different place in life. You know, Marquita is married. She has no children. She's got boots. But we've got Janice, who is married with children. We've got Karana, who is a single mother. And then we've got me, who's just some single old spinster over here. I don't know what I'm doing, but we got it.
Get out of here.
But, no, I'm just teasing. I'm
beautiful lady.
But picky is what I'm becoming. But today, our goal with, as we've built out Highest Power Brands, and of course, Her Passion Builds, is I want to draw a community of women. We are here to empower each other, and mainly we're looking to empower our future entrepreneurs or those that are lost and trying to find their way. And one of those things that I think is really inspiring is that we're trying to create a network and a community for them not only to listen to us and our stories, but to call out others to join us, to be a part of these podcasts, to take interest, to showcase themselves, to showcase their communities, and to showcase their struggles and how they overcame them. Because that's the most important thing. When we set out, fear is a big ordeal with starting something on your own. Each one of us has, I'd say, survived, thrived, failed again, and gone back through that circle. I know for myself that it's not an easy road to be an entrepreneur. And we've talked about this. It's not an easy road to be a woman entrepreneur, let alone an entrepreneur. And I know from each one of us having a different experience in life, you know, we've got lots of things to balance with that. And each one of us has a different way of telling that tale. And I wanted to lead into, as we're celebrating the change of not only a presidency, the end of one interesting situation to another, there's a lot of emotion still surrounding our country, businesses, and our community. And so today I thought vulnerability would be a good topic to talk about. And, you know, I don't know how you ladies feel about it, but vulnerability is hard for me. And I am learning. I read a great book by the great Brené Brown that is Daring Greatly. And I still, despite what she tries to encourage and help us debunk, you know, I've tried to understand how to start letting that be a thing in my life. What would you say, and then we'll just go around and, you know, whoever wants to start, go for it. What is vulnerability? Give me an example of something that makes you vulnerable or what vulnerability means to you. Anyone want to start?
I would say it's like showing either a sensitive side or weakness.
Yeah.
Right. And for me, growing up, that really was an option for me.
Yeah.
So I've never been someone who was very vulnerable, you know, or sensitive, I guess. That was always an area that I struggled with in relationships with men and also with women.
Yeah.
I've always kind of been someone who kind of came off not aggressive.
Oh, I saw Marquita down there.
But and Marquita knows. But not aggressive, but I've always been very assertive, right?
Absolutely.
And so I was always one of those type of people, either you love me or you really didn't like me. And I think a lot of that was because I really didn't have a sensitive side, or I didn't really let people see it. And so I probably came off mean at times or overly confident.
Well,
but once you get to know me, like, I'm absolutely nice. But that's that one thing that I always struggle with, even to this day.
I can tell you what I know of you, girl, is definitely not mean, Mark.
Yeah. In high school, some girls would probably say that.
For sure. Marquita, what about you then? I'm going to call you out making all them faces.
Well, I've always been sensitive, and I'm one of those people, if you're my friend, I will be vulnerable. And that's bitten me in the butt several times, especially as an adult. So I've learned to be careful with what I share. But I'm an open book generally. But because of, when life happens and you get betrayed or someone, you end up hearing your business somewhere else, it's like, wait a minute now. See, now I got to not talk to you anymore because you don't know how to handle what I've given you. I've given you my heart. I've shared my heart and intimate space with you, and you just treated it like trash. So I've always been the sensitive type.
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
I will vouch for that as well.
Karada, how about you? What is a situation that makes you feel vulnerable, or what does vulnerability mean to you?
Well, I would have to kind of piggyback a little bit on Janice. I've had to grow up to be strong. And so it took me a long time to open up to people. And once I finally open up, I'm there. I open up all the way, but it takes a minute for me to break those walls down because it's growing up. I had to be strong. I had to be tough. I had to be the one that took care of everything. That now it become natural for me to be more vulnerable because I know the pain that it caused me to get there, to shut down. So back to what Marquita said, when it comes to betrayal and I deal with that and I open up to you, it makes me something. In the past, I used to put the wall back up, I'm done, and wash my hands. When I realized vulnerability is a part of our everyday being. That's a part of life, that's in business, that's in your relationships, that's the way you move, how you operate, how you open up to other people and empower them through your story. So
1,000%. I completely agree. I sound a lot like, I think, Janice a little bit. I have always had to be tough. I was picked on. I was bullied. I was little. I was quiet and shy. I know Marquita got to hear a story from a very dear good friend of mine when I was in St. Louis visiting, and she heard the story at dinner that you wouldn't believe, meeting Heather 15 years ago. I was afraid of everything. I was afraid to open up because I had been through so much and it had hurt me so bad. I had always had to be strong because my grandfather, I think, wanted a grandson and my dad wanted a son, and I was the only child for a long time, and everything was placed on my shoulders to be great and to be exceptional and to be the best of the best. And believe you me, I can assure you the areas where they wanted me to be the best are my least areas of where I'm the best of the best. Softball, sports. I was a cheerleader and a pageant girl. I was definitely not the athlete they dreamt I'd be. A good old 5'5" over here. I was definitely not ringing in anything. So it took me a lot, and I was, for as outgoing as I am, I keep it all to myself. I know a lot about a lot of people, but I've never really given a lot of myself until the last few years, and I started doing some heavy work. And because of that, I've made some bonds, like building some friendships with you beautiful women, connecting on those levels. But I also have found that I thought that perhaps that's what's evoking people to open up and bring their business and help me build and put faith in me on my team and believe in where we're going, because I'm honest and transparent. I'm emotional. I never thought that emotion was a good thing. I thought that that was the ultimate sign of weakness. In fact, if I had to be emotional, the only thing I wanted to do was like punch someone in the face so I didn't have to deal with it, right? Like I wanted to scream, and I would go and hide and scream, and I'd keep it all to myself. When things were wrong with me, I'd keep it all to me because I didn't know that it was okay to have places to put that and that it was normal. I thought it was unacceptable. And I think that's one of the first myths that I want to debunk is times that perhaps, especially I'll go back to Marquita, since you say you're the sensitive type kind of starting out, you know firsthand of what it's like to be burnt by that. And I know those stories. What would you say that it cost you on the other side of that? By being...
Well, okay, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, once those things happen, it makes you almost leery of anyone, you know, any and everyone, except those that have really proven themselves to be loyal and to be like a vault. But when there's new people that come around, it's like, I gotta watch you because I don't know, and you know, you're gonna do the same thing to me. And so, but when you grow up in being adult and you say, well, I can't be like that to everyone. Everybody's not that person or those people that did those things to me. So I had to get some healing and just, you know, meet people. You try to gauge the situation, but not put other people's mistakes on them, and they have no idea what I'm even looking at them for or what I'm even thinking. So just moving past that. And being wise in what I share.
I agree. I think that we lose the opportunity to deepen our bonds and connections sometimes, maybe even opportunity with new connections if we aren't vulnerable and wholehearted at the start. Now, the risk is being hurt by it, of course. You know, when I read about it and I digged in a little deeper, vulnerability looks like so many different pages, right? It could be saying I love you, could be without knowing if it's going to be accepted. It could be coming out to your parents. It could be that you're sick and you need help. It could be as simple as I just don't know what I'm doing, or I'm afraid. I think we're so quick to react and be protective these days. And I think if 2020 has shown us anything, it pushed us all so much further apart instead of being vulnerable and saying what I think was the root of the problem is we're scared. I think 2020, we were afraid. I know as a business owner, I wasn't just afraid for my business. I was afraid for life. I'm single. I just moved to a new state 5 days before they shut it down. And I thought, how am I going to network? How am I going to meet? I finally opened myself up for trying to have a partner in love and life. How am I going to do that now? How am I going to make friends when we're told that we have to stay in place? How am I supposed to grow as a human? And ironically, life still happened despite my fears. And, you know, I don't know. Let's paint back and go back through it, Karana. I know 2020 was a big year of change for you, and I've seen you really grow and transpire into something more and start taking yourself into that next level. What was that like? What was the vulnerability piece in that for you?
Well, first of all, I had to be honest that it's okay not to be okay. I think we tried to go to another level without acknowledging where you are and be okay to say, this hurt me. I'm hurting in this process. This is different for me. Like I had to be honest with myself to say that this is no longer working.
Right.
And it doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It doesn't mean that I can't pivot to another. And that was a word that I had to use a lot this year. Well, last year, is that you have to journey into something else. And then you start unlocking things on the inside of you that have been there, but it's been waiting for you to arrive.
Right.
So, and then back to your point about vulnerability and being hurt, if we be honest, any true relationship, and this may sound different, but just hear me when I say this, any good relationship, you need to at least factor in some hurt. especially as a parent, when your children get older, experience, at least factor in some pain that's going to come with the journey, whether that's your business, whether it's relationship, because we all human. Mm-hmm. We all fail. We all make mistakes. And I may say something to Janice that may hurt her, but because we in relationship, I could come back and say, you know, Janice, I was wrong for that. Let me fix that. Let me make that better. And so with this year, everybody was dealing with everything, all of us individually. So if you took anything personal, you have to check your motives.
Right.
You have to check your why statement. So with that, with business, it helped me to go back into corporate America, which I love my job. Yeah. And also realizing that I've done corporate America for years and how I've been able to pivot with doing side business. So people were asking me, Kay, how do you do this? Until I started realizing this is a business. Right. I had a coach that coached me through that process, which I'm grateful for, to give me the opportunity to realize there's something that you have that the people are waiting to hear from you. And we are constantly listening to people that we follow, but there's something in you that people are waiting to follow you.
1,000%. I love that acknowledgement of that. We are our own worst critics. Marquita, I'm gonna lean into you on this because Miss I have a following and Miss Faith does not always lead with faith. And I think that that is the most interesting statement I can say about anyone I know personally. How does it feel for you sometimes? Because you are terrified every time I see you because you think I got some big task list or I'm going to scold you about something. I don't know what. I don't know what you think I'm going to scold you on, but.
This is very true. Every monthly meeting, I am terrified because it's something on the list that I've not completed, or, you know, some people know I've gotten better, but I'm quite the perfectionist. And I've gotten better with that, but it's still there. I still deal with it at a level. Especially being an image consultant, you feel like you have to be perfect, but who's really perfect? But I mean, I told Karana when I first started my jewelry business, I was like, if I do it. So you saw my first website. It was horrible. Well, it wasn't so bad, but it was good for somebody that never did one. I took my own pictures. I had to do it, or I would have never started the business. I would have never got the stuff out there. So I'm one of, like you said, I'm one of my hardest critics. Sometimes I'm very hard on myself, and I try not to be. And yes, I am a woman of faith, but sometimes it's tried often. It's tried often. And so I just try to move past it.
Give me what your reward by accepting those what you're considering, I think, and not saying the word of, you consider if you don't check everything off that list, perhaps a failure.
I don't consider it, I wouldn't say I consider it a failure. I think we mentioned fear. Fear is in there. Okay. I don't know. It's kind of like, what was it? Peter in the boat situation, you know, jumping all the way out there. Sometimes I think it's a control thing too. It's a number of things. So I'm just trying. I'm trying, and I've definitely been vulnerable with you all. I tell you guys every time, I'm like, you know, I don't know if that worked. This is not selling like I thought it would. What am I doing? It's not translating. So I'm always, you know, just like, I'm aware, but right. I think I'm doing too much.
I think I can acknowledge all of that because I'm going to lean over to Janice now, because Janice and I, you know, I think where I see the biggest leap in faith in herself has been Janice. She just takes the bull by the horns.
Oh, yeah.
She hit the ground running, working. I've obviously worked individually with each of you, so I know very particularly how each of your styles are. Karana is the easiest. I am not going to lie to you. She's the easiest one out of all of you to work with. Sorry, I'm not sorry. But that's okay. She is. Janice is, you know, you are awesome because you're like, no fear. If we tell you do it, you're like, yep, you know what? And while I'm at it, I'm going to do this. And we're like, okay, all right. But shoot, okay, add that in. I love it, you know? So Janice, when it comes to that, how knowing that you've made such an interesting change to really go out on your own now. And I'm so proud of you. I'm proud of you for where you're at right now today. But I'm going to give some kudos to Janice because it's still very, very new. And where was your moment of vulnerability in this? And talk to me about that. Tell me where you got through that.
Okay, so again, I'm someone who doesn't really show a lot of emotion, right? And I just kind of bulldoze through everything. I would say that over the last month, now that I'm really like out there and I'm getting vibes from people and like the business is live, I'm nervous, right? I'm nervous. Everything that I'm doing now is completely different than what I did before. Like like literally like 360,
100,
totally different. And so my biggest fear is like, okay, am I coming off corny? Am I coming off doing too much? Like, so, I think it's more so like rejection because I don't have a big name behind me, right? It's just me. It's just my brand. And just wondering, will people still take me serious? And so that's scary for me. And I really started to experience a lot of that this month. And I don't even know why. Like, I think it's because I have all these ideas in my head and I want to put them out there, but just nervous. But
I love it.
I guess now, like in the beginning I was like, let's do this, but now that it's like happening, I'm like, oh, I'm really out here. Like people are seeing me more than they ever have. Like, do they like me?
Exposed.
Okay,
you're exposed and you're vulnerable. And
yeah. And it's so funny. Like I just really learned about the whole imposter. Is it called imposter syndrome or something like that?
Yes.
Yep.
And I think I've always suffered with that and didn't know it.
Welcome to the club, woman. Welcome to the club.
So, I hide behind like I'm very assertive, right? But I still have like this, like, what if I'm not right? Like I'm always like, it's still sometimes like a little self-doubt that's happening with me. And so I'm kind of learning a little bit more about that and trying to work through it, I guess. So yeah, that's new for me.
Well, girls,
but I'm working through it.
Janice, I love that you went down that road because here's why. I have a feeling that the three of you have no idea that I feel like I'm a phony and a facade every day of my life. I'm just playing. It's just like playing house, but I'm playing business and it's not real. I almost quadrupled my business in 2020 because of the fact of the nature of what I do. And I had to scale. Scalability has been my favorite word. Pivot and scalability and workarounds are like my three favorite terms to use since the beginning of 2020. I literally thought I was going to have to stop what I was doing and not be able to have my marketing company. And then by now we're like, oh my God. And, we have systems and process and procedure and an HR company and a payroll company and everything is real life now. And I'm sitting here like, how? What if something doesn't go right, or what? I could lose it all tomorrow. I have this huge fear every day that weighs on my shoulders that when I wake up, it's all going to be gone. And that's where I've been struggling for months, pretty much since like November, realizing like I could wake up tomorrow and what if it's gone? Is this real? Is this everything that I've built? And so I'm really battling that, I think, is where I've started to find my vulnerability of I had something kind of challenge where I was as a leader, and it put me in this position to question that authority of mine and what I've built and if I'm doing it right and for the right reasons. And you know, it was just me for so long. And then I had a little team, and that was great. And I don't want to be too big. I got away from corporate for the sheer fact that I didn't want to be corporate. Now I see us putting all these things in place, and I'm like, I don't want that, you know, and I'm trying to stay boutique because that's my niche. I like helping my friends, my community. I like someone with passion who loves what they're doing and has this idea and they want to run with it and build that. That's what I want to do. And I'm afraid, well, what if those run out? Or what if all the little guys go under? And what if we just, you know, can't make it? And so I've been dealing really hard with that. And I am working on a lot of areas of myself with that. As someone who's just recently become a life coach and understanding purpose and fulfillment, I'm being honest with myself. You know, I'm journaling and writing, and I'm trying to build out this book. We'll see. And I'm like, who am I to tell anyone anything right now? And so I feel like that imposter. Like, you guys see me, and I know that I'm impacting people with my journey and my story and authenticity, but I haven't even hit it yet, you know? And I'm wondering what the it is and if I'm ever going to get there. And that's, I don't know. Do you guys deal with that? Or are you, I'll use Karana and I's word, pivot. How do you pivot with that? How do you keep finding the strength to move forward into that fear? Go ahead, any of you. I'm open ears, and I'm sure the audience that will listen to this is going to be hanging for these types of ideas and thoughts.
Well, what's helpful is people around you that remind you. Sometimes you need reminders. I mean, you know that you're impacting people. You can see that. You can see the responses on social media. You can see how somebody said, oh, that helped me. Or, you know, I really needed that. That was right on time. And then sometimes you have those moments where, you know, does it really matter? And you got, like, my husband, he'll tell me, of course, Marquita, you know, people are always talking to me, or Karan, or anybody. I get those reminders right on time, but it seems like I need them a lot.
I think we're conditioned maybe more than we realize to need them. And, absolutely. You know, I think that's something that when I set out to do Her Passion Builds and Highest Power Brands, I realized that we need a community as women, every walk of life, with an idea and a passion to build that. You need that community supporting it, because I know I'm a cheerleader by heart and I like to cheer for others, but I forget that I need the cheering too. And I think we all need that. So an attaboy goes a long way. I give them out, but getting them back sometimes doesn't happen. And when you live by yourself, the dogs aren't the ones giving you the attaboys. I can tell you that right now. So, and I'm sure as a single mom, Karana, that your son is not always like, way to go, mom. Yeah, pat you on the back. You're like, thanks a lot, child. Right? Some days.
Well, now that, you know, my son lives on his own, so it's right. It's just me.
Right.
And to your point about how do we, it's a lot that was said, and I'm trying to comment what you said. But for me, even when I have those moments, because we have it, because we're human, right? We have it. But then there's also times where it takes me back to, I remember how rough it really was for me. Like, I remember when I didn't even have enough to eat. And that wasn't too far ago. Like, that just wasn't too long ago. Right. But then it also brings me back to every level you achieve, there's always something you're going to fight. Like, you're fighting for something. And you have to have something stronger than yourself to fight with. My faith is what keeps me going. Yes. Even when I say if, and I have to change the way I speak to myself. Like, and especially when we could go deeper with that, it goes back to our childhood. Yeah. Who told you you couldn't do this? And so you have to go back to who spoke that thing in your life, because now, again, their voice become your voice. And so you have to say to yourself, if it takes you to put sticky notes all around your house until you start believing it, in your car, whatever it is, prayer, fasting, meditating, whatever you need to do to motivate yourself, and not to the point where you filling everybody else up and you empty. And I had to learn that for my life, because I was filling everybody else up and I walked away empty. And I said, how can you believe in them more than you do yourself? And so you got to create a thing that we struggle with at times, boundaries.
Yeah,
I love that. You know, boundaries are my favorite thing that I've been putting.
Yes.
I ain't afraid to leave anybody anymore. I can tell you that. I'm not afraid to put distance between us, because I have worked so hard at what I have. And I love that you said that point about like giving and, you know, giving and giving and giving. I put up a post the other day, and it was one of the most brilliant things that I saw in a long time. Stop watering other people to where you go dry. Water your own garden and inspire them to plant their own seeds and grow their own. Ooh, that was like, I cannot even, because I know that I give. I know my story of my life just seems to be like, I give more than I've ever gotten when it comes to love. And I'm not afraid to give love. That is not where my vulnerability ceases. I don't necessarily receive it back because of the way that I preserve myself and not necessarily show all my cards in my relationships, or whether it's business or whether it's, you know, friends or obviously romantically. But I think that boundaries is a really great touching stone too. Janice, having a husband who also works and you have kids and things like that, do you guys have established boundaries? Do you continuously seem like sometimes things are just like new and building from, or how do you guys approach a situation like that? I'm curious to hear from someone who has somebody else besides dogs to talk to in the house what that is like. So
I would say we do now. Okay. But it definitely had to be established. You know, before I started my business, I was in corporate America, right, for like 9 years. And so he was accustomed to me just having like a 9 to 5 and coming home and I could take care of the kids.
Right.
And then when I decided to make that transition to become an entrepreneur like him, he had to start, you know, giving up some of that time so that I could have an opportunity to get out there and network. And that was a huge transition for us, you know, because we had 2 small kids. When I started my first agency, I was pregnant and I had a 1-year-old. And so that was a lot, you know, and I literally definitely had to set those boundaries of like, hey, you know, I'm trying to build something here as well. And I know you are doing a fantastic job, but this is my bread and butter. This is our bread and butter, right? And I need this time, because, you know, when you have small kids, they want mommy, right? They want me, and a lot of times I just wouldn't have a chance to decompress or even just time to plan. You know, it was always just, I was always in mommy mode all the time. And so, you know, he and I definitely had to sit down and set boundaries. And so now we alternate days. It's so funny. Like, it's so like, it literally every week it's either I have the kids Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, and he'll have them Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then we alternate the next week. And that's kind of really been our ritual for like the last 8 years. And it works for us, right? And, you know, a lot of times, you know, with my husband doing other things, you know, of course, as the wife, sometimes we still sacrifice a little bit more, right? But it's working for us. And, you know, now I'm just trying to teach my kids that, you know, if I'm working from home, you know, or if I'm on a meeting, you can't interrupt. So they're learning like, okay, mommy's like really boss mode. Like, we gotta like give her space, because they don't care who's on the call, what I'm talking about. If they want me, they're gonna interrupt. Yeah. They don't care. So now that they're getting older, like they're upstairs, they're keeping quiet.
Oh,
which thank goodness for that. and it's working. So we're learning as we go. But it was necessary in this household, you know, with 2 entrepreneurs. It was absolutely necessary. Also, just for our kids to have a healthy lifestyle as well.
Sure. I love that. I love that you put the emphasis on realizing that attention still needed to be paid. And hey, look, we both got to do this, and it's a partnership. So I love that there's that balance there. That's not every day do people get that. It's a hard conversation, I think, for people to have in relationships. alone, let alone when you add children into that, I'm sure. Marquita, what do you and your husband, where do you guys draw boundaries? Look at that face. I love it.
Next question.
Oh, man. Well, we know he doesn't draw boundaries with singing at night when you guys are trying to
Oh, man. Every second night it's a concert.
I love that.
Funny.
My face.
Oh, it's terrible.
Well, all right. Next question. So Marquita's got some stuff to work on. We'll talk about that on the next
Well,
episode.
no, I'm the one. I have boundaries. It's him. But luckily we don't have kids because I would be, ooh, Lord. So we pray whenever that time comes that a lot of things will have changed.
Yeah.
So boundaries are not a problem for me. They are for him.
That's funny. Well, I get that. I can respect that. I mean, I think this is funny, and Karana, you can maybe piggyback off of this. I had a very good girlfriend come out and stay with me for about 2 weeks. And now keep in mind, I have been out here since March pretty much by myself, other than like maybe a weekend visit from people. And obviously COVID and things like that. My other best friend back home, the second she left, first question she asked was, how was it having someone else there? No, honestly, like for 2 weeks in your space, because I know you and how independent you are in your domain, and you've been in such like, because I got a whole damn routine, guys. Like I can't even preach to you. I'm like a well-oiled machine over here because one, I haven't been drinking because I've been on this fitness journey, and two, like, I mean, from the time I wake up to the time I go to bed, there is literally like, I don't miss a beat. And when we would go out or do something while she's here, it would hit time and I'm like, girl, I'm getting an Uber. I'm going. You can stay if you want, but I got beds. Like I've got, you know, like I have a whole routine, and I love her, you know, she'd have some wine and she's all feeling good. It's her vacation. Absolutely.
Right.
And I'm all, look, I appreciate you. And I know you think I'm frustrated at you because, you know, I want to go to bed, but really it's that you're like keeping me from going to bed because you're standing there wanting to talk. And I just want to finish my stuff, and I wouldn't be frustrated at all. And we would be great. And she just started like, you know, I had maybe like one moment like that. And overall, like, it's a lot because when you have people in your space and it's like, you know, all of it, it was perfectly fine and I could do it. Now, had it been a man or something else, I have no idea how that would go, but it's funny because I really did realize, man, if I ever do get in a relationship, the push that comes to shove of what I'm going to have to compromise is going to be a lot. And there's going to be some boundaries, lots of boundaries, because I like what I'm doing. And, you know, I'm going to have to realize that it's going to have to every now and then conform to someone else's what they're doing if I'm going to be in a healthy relationship. So Karana, how about you? Because now that you have got the son out of the house and you're doing your own thing, what is it like for you?
Well, this is my first time ever living alone, period. And when I tell you I love it, like
it's beautiful. It's so beautiful.
I love it. Like I'm enjoying it. Like when I look around, it's like, oh, what do we want to eat today, Karana? You don't have to cook anything. Not that I don't desire marriage and companionship. That's not it. But being able to embrace this quietness, because it's not going to always be like this. So to know that the case of water is still here when I come home, that brings me joy.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know what I mean? Like, oh my God, Karana, you still have cheese in the fridge. So it's just a small.
No one ate your leftovers.
There you go. There you go.
I'll tell you what,
toilet paper.
My favorite thing is that these beautiful dogs are so, like, they're trained, you know, Johnny's past his, we'll call it twos, and, you know, my house is in one piece. I don't have to pick up a dish from the sink. And if I do, it's because I left it there. So I'm just like, huh, look at that. You left one. I never do because I'm so OCD. But like, there is something about, and I know, like you said, I completely concur. It's not that I don't desire to have a partner in life. I do. I want a man. I would fall over the day that I have someone that takes out the trash besides me. Girls, I don't think you understand. Do not take for granted if there is something that you don't want to do, that if that person is doing that for you, oh my God,
Or pump your gas. I don't
Oh,
like
pump my gas. My God, if they just got up and let the dogs out the first thing in the morning, so it was the first thing I had to do, it probably won't be because they like think that I'm God for whatever reason and I have to do it. But I'll tell you, I said that. I said the sexiest thing to me is if a man came over to my house and took out my trash. That is what I'm looking for right now. Don't bring me wine. I can buy my own wine. Take out the trash. Put the toilet seat down. Make sure you clean up anything you dirty in this house. And I swear to you, I will love you for the rest of your life. Like that is it. Like, I don't even, that is how low my standards are during COVID. Thank you very much. And, but no, really, I mean, it's something I would tell you guys not to take for granted, but that peace and quiet, ooh, I wish you guys got some of that more often. Cause
I miss it. Like literally the other day was like my first time in the house by myself in months.
I bet.
And I text my husband, I was like, it's quiet. Ain't nobody here. Oh man. It was amazing. It was short-lived, but man, I miss it.
You know what?
I miss it.
You soaked up those moments. Marquita, you get time alone though. Darius is out.
I get lots. I have plenty of me time. Believe that.
I believe.
Plenty.
He is a socialite, so I know he is always out doing something. So
even in a darn pandemic, geez.
I mean, he's becoming presidents of clubs. He's out doing things. He's doing big things.
Absolutely.
I am proud of him. But I mean, it is definitely something that where that's going to expose vulnerability the day that we have to cross that line and let other people over on it again, you know, but I'll take in stride where I'm at right now. I'm currently committed to being my single self at the moment, and I'm happy about that. But I want to keep working on me and keep working on building other things. And, you know, I want to talk about kind of what the next chapter looks for each of you really quick and give a glimpse ahead to 2021, what each of you are doing. And we can just go around the house. So I'll just start with Karana. What do you got? What should we be looking forward to for you this year?
Well, like I mentioned before, the coaching business with how to start your side business while working a 9 to 5, how to effectively do that.
I love it.
And not to put any like a stamp on, oh, I'm going to do this next month. I have a strategy, but I'm flowing with the flow.
Sure.
So, you know, because none of us really know what the next going to be, but at least work the strategy that you have and how to take 30 for 30. Like, honestly, I've been an entrepreneur for, oh my God, so 21 for years, and to pivot back into corporate and still working in the salon and still doing the coaching business. Now that I'm you know, I live alone, able to see other opportunities with other organizations and speaking on different platforms, but also digging deep what's on the inside of me. So I'm really just flowing with this next level and just see where it's going to take me in this.
I admire that. I can't wait to see where you go this year, girl. I know it's just beginning, so I can't wait, and keep doing what you're doing. That's for sure. Janice, what about you? Because I know where you're at. I can't wait to hear what else you got going on. You've always got something up your sleeve.
Yeah, for me, just really, really hitting the ground running with the agency. I am so happy with where we are, and I can absolutely see the future being bright with the agency. But not only that, like I want to start, actually after this podcast, I'll probably do some videos, but I want to start highlighting other business owners, right? Like I want to start celebrating other people in different industries and networking more. That's something that I really didn't do a lot in the past. And still working on putting myself out there and letting people see me, you know. That's new for me. And then I would say the last thing is I'm working on at least for this year having at least 5 streams of income.
Wow.
So
get it.
Me and the girls are working on a business together, my business. Me and my husband are doing some things. And then I have a janitorial business, and we're going to get that relaunched. And then I'm in an investment group, but I'm thinking about learning more about trading and a couple of things.
I'm excited for you. Very cool. Very cool. All right, Marquita, what about you? Don't make that.
Just gonna keep it simple. Well, this is something I've been talking about forever, and Karana already knows. So, and Janice, she's heard about it years ago, and it still has not happened. This must be the year of a book release.
Well, we've been talking about it for a minute, so I already know it better be. Yeah. You've been writing for years. I asked you this, right?
I have.
So there's no time like the present. None of us are going anywhere still, so let's do it.
Absolutely.
I love it. Well, I think it's a huge, and it's hard. It goes back to that vulnerability. But you know what's going to be on the other side of it? That accomplishment that you have done it and that people needed it. And it's probably going to hit exactly when it needs to. Just like your have faith, it's Friday that I miss like crazy. Because it hits me every time. I don't know how, by the time I see it, it's just the right moment that I need it. And just hearing your voice and that enthusiasm that comes across to me is like, see, this is why you did this. You push someone into something and they're doing it. And I can say that about Karana. I can say that about Janice. And I can say that ultimately about you, who brought these beautiful women into my life in the first place. For me, I would say life coaching and getting that going, building my network with the highest power brands, and really using this platform. And I want you guys to lean in on it. I want you to help figure out building this community, bring women to this. This is a good opportunity for us to have more than 4 of us on this. I'd love to have you guys shout out or pull other people in, send them our way. I'm always happy to shout out other businesses. You know, I am the first one who will promote someone in a business light. I have nothing but love for each one of us in an all-inclusive way to not only be diverse, be women, being powerful and positive, but impact and bring each other together, because that's so important. And as a child, I wish I would have known that I didn't have to be so bold-faced. I didn't have to be so strong, that I could still be weak and funny and goofy and odd and awkward and still have a place and still become exactly who I am. And I love that about me. I'm still working on me. I'm still working on that book. So I know mine's a lot more recent. My goal is by 40. So I got some time, but not a lot of time. And I recently partnered with Pivot to Power, speaking of pivots. And that is that speaking group that is led by an amazing attorney, speaker, author, just crushes it. And she inspires and mentors me in so many ways. And I can tell you very prolifically, like, we hope to expand that, make a marketplace for women to find each other and connect through business as well. And you know, the goal is ultimately to point to each one of your businesses. Karana, especially with your coaching on the side and getting people off and running, you know, it's no conflict of interest for me. Obviously, doing life coaching, mine is about fulfilling purpose, getting people to defunk themselves and get unstuck. I'm trying to light the path to, whether it's professionally, whether it's health and fitness, whether it's just your mindset or personal, you know, I'm trying to illuminate those paths and journeys for others to take that step into their vulnerability and find their purpose and passion. Marquita, I know you've got the practice of faith behind you. And Janice, I know you just got so many irons in the fire, and all of you being so, I would say, women of not only power, but women of faith. And I feel more and more that I am growing my faith this year as well. And I want to get back to me and God in that relationship. So that's going to be a really big turning point for me. I've been working on that. I've been working on my gratitude and what we do with that. So speaking of gratitude, I want to sing some praises to each of you for joining me again on some hard topics. And I want to give you guys the praise that you deserve for taking everything to that next level, for not giving up, even though it's hard, and knowing that there's nowhere else but up. And we can do that. And we can do it together. And we each got it in us to do it. So I want you to remember that, and that I am beyond proud of what I see of each of you, because I saw it in the raw beginnings for almost all of you. So I love that, and keep going. 2021, I don't care what it throws at us. I think we can do it together. So let's kick off this year. Let's bring in some good spirit and energy. And I can't thank you enough, ladies, for joining me on Her Passion Builds yet again. Yes, Karana.
I do want to say something to you, Heather. First of all, thank you so much for this opportunity. And I hope and pray that everything that's on your heart that you desire, unspoken, spoken desires, spoken things that you've written down that you've never shared with anyone, I hope and pray those doors, I believe those doors are going to open for you. And because that you're going back to get other people, you will be blessed.
Absolutely.
I hope so. I have faith, and I'm finding more of it. And I'm trying every day to believe that it's not in my control, it's in someone else's, and I'm trying to let that be. And that's the biggest thing I learned in 2020. You can't predict anything, no matter what kind of strategist I am. Couldn't predict that one if I tried. And but no, each of you ladies means something very valuable to me, and have just touched a piece of me that I couldn't do without you. And I thank you for that. And I want you each to give a shout out to where all of our listeners can find you, and we will wrap it up for the day. Karana, go ahead.
Sure, you can find me on Instagram with all social media sites. It's Karana K. Wilson on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn.
Awesome.
YouTube too as well. YouTube.
All right, we got you. Janice?
Same, you can find me on IG, Facebook, LinkedIn, pretty much all the social media outlets. BMB2 Legacy Insurance.
Awesome. We'll make sure that we put that in the credits, and I'll make sure that you guys are all tagged and everything. Marquita, what about you?
All right, Marquita Chanel on Facebook, Marquita_Chanel on Instagram. I'm also on LinkedIn, and maybe Marquita Chanel Chapman. I don't know, but I'm there. YouTube, Marquita Chanel. So you can find me. You can, in the words of my sister Karana, you can Google me.
Oh, they're Googleable, ladies and gentlemen. Googleable. Well, for those of you,
you'll find something.
You'll find. I don't know what you'll find. If I'm any good at the marketing that we've been doing for all of you, I'd say you can't find anything bad, but who knows?
We're all Googleable.
Googleable. Well, for those of you who are just joining us or who've been following along, you can always find us on Apple, SoundCloud, Spotify, or you can visit our website at Highest Power Brands to check out Her Passion Builds, learn how to either become a sponsor, be a participant on one of the podcasts, or you can also join us to engage with the pitch slams that we might be doing for future entrepreneurs, and of course now life coaching. So check us out. Stay tuned. So much more to come. We're just getting started. Her Passion Builds, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.